All right, so tell me a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Lucas, 28, came from Brazil. Came for Canada with the objective of becoming a programmer, been doing the co-op course. Passed the first term now, so I got into the second term about 3 months ago. And what I would say is I've always worked with computers since I was born in the 90s, so I was born in a generation that had computers since I think my first computer I had was 6. And I was always the geek kid from the family. My aunts would call me to fix their computers, my parents, the neighbors. At one point when I was around 11, 12, I was being called, but mostly simple stuff. I would format some hard drives, do the boot system, work with the BIOS. At one point I started making some routers configuration, trying to fix it, open some ports for video games. So simple stuff like that, but I always had a big interest and aptitude for the computer in general, even in the time before the internet. So this was the time that you actually had to go for try and error, especially for me in Brazil, that I was still learning English, so most of the stuff would come in English. So basically be try and error, until at one point the thing would fix it.
Of course. Now tell us a little bit about the course that you took here at ITD Canada. What did you learn in your co-op course?
Okay. They came with a different set of languages, programming languages. And what they taught us was, at the first semester, they taught us a lot of front-end development. So we had to do some HTML websites, learn how to work with CSS, create a responsive website, especially nowadays that everybody has smartphones. Do some JavaScript programming, but this was the first term. And after that, that's when we went for the object-oriented part. So most of it, we would start with some small projects to get the feeling of the language. Then they would show us the inheritance project, how to do dynamic binding, polymorphism, the basics concepts from object-oriented. And usually by the end of the term, we had to do some project. When we were working with C++, we had to do a full stack project. So we connected with a MySQL database, PHP in the middleware, and do all the buttons, the get, the post, everything. And after that, we worked with JavaScript, and then we learned the language, the syntax, and then we did the same RESTful API system with Java, PHP, and MySQL.
Okay, very good. Now tell us a little bit about your experience in Unity 3D.
In Unity 3D, I've done some small projects on the computer. It was a pretty simple game. Basically, a cube running through a lane, just dodging it. So I got the experience of doing some C++ programming and C# programming with the objects, with the world objects, the cubes. Learn how to program the collision of it. Some of the tips from the marketing, how to do the camera follow-up, how to create the offset so the camera doesn't fix the axis, you can make it fix it by the objects moving. So that was my experience with Unity, basically creating this simple game and learning how to do the coding with the object.
Okay, very good. Now what would you say are some of your greatest professional strengths?
First, I would say that I'm a hard worker. Most of the places where I worked, I've heard people saying that to me, so that's something that makes me proud. So for me, if I'm working, by the hours I'm getting paid there, I need to be efficient, or I need to be something. Like, for me, it doesn't make sense for you to go to work and try to push it to the end. So I'll be always trying to be using the time useful. And I feel like I'm a pretty good quick learner with new stuff, especially with programming, that we all have these different frameworks and environments, everything changing all the time, so we need to be adapting with time. Of course. So these are two strengths that I would say I've even heard from even in my job in Canada, I got a raise here in 5 months that I was there. And I've heard a lot of compliments about the people there. So even if I can reference about my work in Canada, I'm pretty sure they'll say very good about me.
Very good. Now, this is a difficult question. What do you consider to be your professional weaknesses?
I would say that I may have a bad time looking at my mistakes sometimes.
Okay.
I would say that accepting the mistakes would be something hard for me.
Okay. So what would you be doing to improve your weaknesses?
Well, for that point, I would say you need to increase your self-consciousness, yeah. Learning that there is no universal truth, and sometimes even when all your logic is saying that this is what it is, it may not be it, even if it's in front of you. But that's, as I said, it's kind of a process of self-knowledging. But it's something that I definitely am aware of me, and I'm trying to improve.
Okay, very good. Now, what you mentioned that you got a raise in your first Canadian job within 5 months. What would you consider to be one of your greatest professional achievements?
Achievements in life?
Yeah, just like in professional achievement, yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Well, this race was pretty good, but one thing that I'm pretty proud of is I had this work in the Olympics in Brazil. That is actually the company, they have it in Canada, it's Main Group, the company that hired me. And I had to manage around 120 drivers for the Olympics. They would be carrying the VIP players, blah, blah, everywhere. I had to do the schedule of them. And at one point, all of them came to me to say, bro, like, you should be the director. Everybody was complimenting it because they were saying that a lot of people were going there to work, but kind of deorganized and not try. They said that I was actually the person who were solving stuff there from a group of 16 managers. I was the only one solving. So they all started making jokes about it and told me, but I got proud of it. After, like, I even remember now. They're like, what do we do for you to become the director, Lucas? Like, they were joking, of course, but I was like, nice, that was nice.
Very good. Now, tell me about a challenge or conflict that you faced in a professional setting and how you've dealt with it.
I was called to be a supervisor in Brazil for a store of organic food and healthy food. So when I got there, there was this already going fight between two employees. And the owner, they basically came to me and said, look, they keep fighting all the time and it's having this tension around them, so fix it. So I had this problem to do with it, and in the end I see that even though you want to fix it, if you try to help too much, for at least what happened with me in my experience is, I was working together with one of the persons who were in the fight, and then the other person got jealous or thought that I was running for his side. So if you're having this kind of tensions in job, I would say that you need to be careful with stuff that you do. Even if you think that you're not doing harm to anyone, you can cause misinterpretation around the job environment. So you need to be careful with this fights and stuff, that small things that happens.
Okay. Now, what type of work environment do you prefer? Do you prefer, like, say, working individually, or do you prefer to work in a team, or do you like both?
No, I love working as a team for sure. I think that communication is essential for work. If you have this work where everything's a taboo, probably the productivity will go down because a lot of stuff that would increase productivity are not being discussed. So there must be communication for sure, but I feel like everybody needs to be feeling that they are in the same pace. Okay. You don't want to be working in a team where you feel that one person is doing the job of 5.
For sure.
I would say.
Now, you mentioned before your relationship with your old coworkers and bosses and things like that. Well, how would your previous employers and coworkers describe you? What would they say about you?
Well, I would say they would definitely say that I am good with social skills. All the places that I've been, I've done friends and I was liked. So they would probably say that I'm a nice guy, pretty cool, relaxed, and hard worker. Also, especially in this place that I've been working for the past year in Canada, I'm pretty friendly with all of them. Never had any problems or anything.
Very good. Now, how do you deal with pressure or stressful situations?
I would say I can do pretty good. Especially because of this work that I'm doing, that you deal with pressure.
So what are some things that you would do to deal with pressure situations? Would you, yeah, please continue, yes.
I mean, usually, if I get in pressure, let's say if I had to do some work pretty quick and they say, oh, fix this, you need to fix it in 2 hours. I will stop talking, I'll try to focus, no more chatting. And I'll try to push it as fast as I can, basically.
Okay, very good. Now, let's move on to other questions. What are some of your hobbies outside of work and school? What do you like to do on your own spare time?
I work out. I like doing exercise. I'm a deep believer that exercise is essential for a good life. I like practicing guitar. I play some guitar. And yeah, I'm a deep believer that story of the 10,000 hours rule. If you make the effort with repetition, of course it needs to be a smart repetition. You cannot be practicing and repeating something that's completely unproductive. But I believe that most of stuff in life is more about hard working than being gifted. I don't believe that some people are gifted to play guitar or gifted to program. I believe that some people just spend 5 hours a day on something and some people don't. That's the main difference. So anything that's related with that kind of idea, I like it. So it can be working out, it can be practicing guitar, programming.
Very good. Now, my last question for you. In 5 years, where do you see yourself?
Oh, with a good programming job, having a stable life, pursuing some graduation bachelor in computer science. Getting some time, after getting my programming job and being stable, getting some time so I can do some university and work at the same time. And this would be my dream.
Okay, very good. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.